Hey there, my name is Cole Adams, and you are watching the best college basketball podcast out there that covers the entire sport of college basketball, brackets, bubbles, and bid stealers. Now, here are your hosts, Sam Fetterman and Jonathan Lidskin.
Season 6, episode 82 of Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers. I am Sam Fetterman. That is Jonathan Lidskin. Jonathan, how are you doing tonight?
I'm great, Sam. Good night of Valley Hoops, good night of mid-major hoops in general. Ready to rock and roll.
And we are joined by the great, probably the go-to in the mid-major space, Mr. Rocco Miller. Rocco, welcome back to Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers.
Great to be back, fellas. How we doing tonight? Happy Thursday.
I need to ask, where are you?
I'm at my old. I'm glad you asked because I'm at my old neighborhood spot. If the current Florida Gator coaches are watching, hopefully they watch every episode. They know exactly where I'm at. If the current San Francisco coaches know where I'm at. I'm on Divisadero Street. Place used to be called San Francisco Athletic Club. Now it's called Timeout Tavern. What a waste of a name. We're still calling it San Francisco Athletic Club. It's our go-to sports place in the city, and you can see it's Thursday, and there's like two people in here, so it's perfect for the podcast, minus the music.
Yeah. So obviously the Dons played against Oregon State tonight. And it did not go well for them at all.
No.
Don't really know if we need to get into that. 2 500 WCC teams. Kind of been a torpedo of a season as of late for San Francisco. A very talented team that had a strong start to the season, but couldn't turn it into much in the long run. Have now lost 5 of its last 6 games, 6-8 in the league. So we don't need to get into that. What we do need to get into, Jonathan, is a very early in the show Valley update. We are leading off Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers tonight by discussing the Belmont Bruins and their 13th Missouri Valley win of the season. Tyler Lundblade had 31. Belmont drops 91 at the Curb Event Center on Northern Iowa, who is the number 20 defense in the country, but just the number 3 defense in Missouri Valley play. And that's in large part due to this performance against Belmont, scoring 91 points in this game. The Bruins hit 14 threes. Lundblade made 7 of them. And it was just a night where I felt like they were generating so much easy offense, Jonathan.
Yeah, this was the number 1 game of the night on Ken Pom by throw score, and I think it lived up to the expectation, especially with the offensive performance by Belmont. Playing that caliber of defense and doing what they did tonight is a lot easier said than done, but they did it. Lundblade goes for 31, just another day at the office for him. I said it on Twitter. Like, it feels routine at this point. He goes for 31. He had 7 threes. He's perfect from the line. He only attempts 2 twos, and that's all they need. That's all he needs to do to get his. Otherwhere for in this one, Charnowski, who's been playing really well for them, didn't score, and they still scored almost 1.3 points per possession. So I think it speaks to the quality of this team up and down the roster and the depth that they have. We've talked about the other younger players for this team who've really stepped up this season. That's Dylan, Jack Smiley. Those guys off the bench have been a huge part of their success this year.
To me, my favorite thing about Belmont is the way that they generate their offense. They are dead last in the Missouri Valley in ball screens per game. They only run 15 ball screens per game. That's 3 fewer than Southern Illinois, who's the second fewest ball screens per game in that conference. And if you look at how many handoffs they have, 7.9 per game. They get 4.6 3-point attempts per game off of handoffs. Indiana State has the second most at 2.5 in the Missouri Valley. If you look at the baskets that they generate off of cuts, third in the Valley, 7.1 in terms of field goal attempts off of that, and 8.5 possessions per game. They are generating so much off of those actions. They are at 6.7 off-screen possessions per game. Second place UIC is at 4.6. So it's all this off-ball movement that creates their shots. The dribble handoffs, It's the off-ball screens, because that's what you have to do when you have a guy like Tyler Lundblade. That is your kind of your guy. He takes 22% of your shots, but his usage rate is only 17, because you don't need him to pass the ball. Whenever he gets it, it's going up, because they do so much work without the ball to get him the ball.
Yeah, it's not the same as what Indiana State was doing when Josh Schertz was in the league, but it's similar in a lot of different aspects. Like the ball movement is just phenomenal with them, and they did the same thing a couple years ago when they had Cade Tyson, where they just got him moving off a bunch of different screens, and the shooter he is, he just would bury three after three for them. Now this team, is obviously, they don't have the high major talent maybe that team had, but they are much deeper than that team was, and it showed throughout the season.
Rocco?
Yeah, no, I think the other point I want to make, just season long wise, is the key to having both Sam Orm available and playing well, as well as the other big Drew Sharnowski. Yeah, Sharnowski. Them playing together at 6'9", they do a lot of screening off the ball, which obviously doesn't show up in the on-ball screen metric. But I think with Orm, you could track their success almost directly to him. He basically played, missed the Indiana State loss, which you can forgive them for. He played suboptimally, probably his worst game of the year in the Richmond game, where they actually were able to throw some different things at Belmont that they hadn't seen prior to that night. And then he only went 18 minutes because he fouled out against Bradley in that loss last week. But tonight he's back out there for full 33 minutes. Very efficient game. Drained a couple threes. Had 3 assists. Did everything. Had a block, a steal. And so Sam Orm, I think, is a lot of what helps make everybody else even more deadly. I agree with you on Smiley. Like, I did their game in person at Valparaiso a couple weeks ago. That was a 1-point win. Smiley's from Valparaiso, came in right off the bench, hit 3 threes in about 2 minutes. And this is all very impressive because I'm pretty confident they won't admit this, but Nick McLean, I think, is out for the season. And to be able to move on without their point guard, like a really stud point guard, makes the formula that they're using so much more impressive to me.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of been operating under that assumption, but that's the thing. When you have an offense that doesn't rely on its ball screens, you don't need to have the point guard be kind of the general focal point of everything.
The general.
That's why, like, if Alabama loses a guard, it's much different from, say, Nebraska losing a guard in that sense, in terms of the actions that they like to run. And I mean, yes, Miami, Ohio does run a lot of ball screen actions, but they also run a lot of the off-ball screening actions, and that's probably one of the reasons why they've been able to survive without it. And also, Jack has just been that good. But I think that's part of it, too. You don't need the point guard as much when you, have Sharnowski, who can kind of pass from different positions as well. Rogers can pass from different positions. Orm can pass from different positions. And you also have a team where you're basing your offense off of these off-ball actions.
I agree with that, Sam. Yeah, it's been beautiful. It's beautiful to watch too, because they have so much chemistry going on within the way they pass the ball and distribute. They can anticipate where each other are going to be, and it's getting stronger by the week. And it's also just enough margin to where a lot of these other Valley contenders, minus Illinois State, are mostly full of new pieces and moving parts, younger coaches or newer coaches, and it's just enough margin for them so far.
Yeah, but now I want to kind of pivot to the Northern Iowa side of things. To come off of 3 games where they go beat Evansville by 16, beat Bradley by 12, and then pound Murray State by 29, really felt like they turned that corner. They were playing their best basketball maybe of the season at that rate. And then to kind of go out there and play what's not even close to your game, your fastest pace game of Missouri Valley play at 71 possessions. What I would have to assume is your worst defensive performance of the season. Yeah, your 2 worst defensive performances this season against Belmont. And by a lot, 128.2 today and 133 .5 on January 7th. Those are the only two games that are higher than 115 defensive rating for Northern Iowa. So is it as much identity crisis or bad matchup, Jonathan?
I think it's matchup because Belmont's not a team that loves to play super fast. Sure, they're above average in terms of pace, but nothing crazy. And the last time these two played, it was a 58 possession game. Now, so like Northern Iowa, with the way they've played offense, specifically in the last couple weeks, I think Belmont probably picked up on something that they wanted to play this game a little faster. And sure, like Northern Iowa had a great offensive game, but this pace definitely benefits Belmont. Like Northern Iowa is one of the slowest teams in the entire country. They want to play about 62 possessions a game. This one was 71. Like they are a defense that wants to get set up in the half court and make you work for every single shot. And to Belmont's credit, like they can do that, against this defense and have success. But they also recognize tonight that let's push the pace and let's get out and make these guys play fast.
Yeah, Rocco.
Yeah, I think the fact that Belmont was able to use their movement and spacing and elite shooting to still go 14 for 30 from three in this game. I haven't seen the highlights yet, but obviously reading the box, I kind of knew coming into it that Northern Iowa's defense, I got a chance to see them when they were out here playing St. Mary's a game. If they could just get to the free throw line or get a rebound, they probably get that win at St. Mary's. They played so well that night. But they're known, like their staple defensively is defending pick and roll and being elite at rim protection. And that's actually kind of counterintuitive for what Belmont does. So it's a weird matchup for Northern Iowa's defensive strengths because, like I said, all that movement away from the ball can kind of run counter against how the Panthers want to really stymie teams. And it works against so many other styles that it's probably hard for them to switch up in a one-game scenario. But that'll be interesting to kind of keep in mind as we enter Arch Madness season, which is not too far away, because that is your one-and-done opportunity to try to knock them off. And now they've got a couple sample sizes right in their face to where they might have to throw a different wrinkle at them in the next matchup.
Yeah.
If it happens.
Also, kind of the idea, this is the second time this season that Northern Iowa has allowed a team to make 10 3-pointers. It was Belmont the other time, 10 and now 14.
Yeah.
This is the second time this season that Northern Iowa has allowed an effective field goal percentage above 60. Belmont hit 70 twice. So I'll err on the side of this just being a horrendous matchup for Northern Iowa. But, is there something that they can do in Arch Madness if they end up facing them, say it's the 1-4 game or say it's something else in Arch Madness, and they end up with this matchup? I think Ben Jacobson is a good enough basketball coach to realize that they'll have to kind of throw something different at the Alexander.
I would agree with that. I think you can throw a few different zone looks at them, maybe a matchup zone even. But I think, that they'll have to be really nimble, segment to segment on gauging if it's productive or not. And that will be a balance that it'll be very beneficial to have a veteran coach like Coach Jacobson. But I do agree their base defense that has worked against most of the league and most of their schedule is counterintuitive a little bit to how Belmont operates. And that's why Belmont's getting so many catch and shoot opportunities and rhythm threes that it's a problem.
Yeah. I'll be with you on that. Jonathan, anything else you want to talk about from the Valley tonight?
Just want to shout out UIC, still playing, very well. They dropped a couple in a row to Murray State on the road, Belmont at home. Obviously not easy games, but they bounce back tonight. They go to Drake, win by double digits. This is not a team that I would want to see at Arch Madness in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of pile on to just kind of talk a little bit more about the Valley. Obviously, Murray State, UIC, they get wins tonight. Illinois State. So, a bunch of Valley action. Southern Illinois playing better basketball. Rocco, anything?
I was really looking forward to that Illinois State Valpo game. I just love the way Valpo has been coming together with those 4 freshmen It's a team working their butts off. They had a 7-point lead early in the second half, and I think Illinois State finished the game 52-23. Ouch, to say the least. So they are still a little young, a little fragile, but I do like that Valpo team going into the next 5 weeks because they are playing so hard for Powell. Again, like I said, I was at the Valpo Belmont game, saw it up close and personal. They almost pulled that out. But Illinois State's another team, that's why I want to focus on that matchup where I can't really tell where this is going. It's like one good showing and then a total dud, as their last 2 losses are to Evansville and a home loss to Southern Illinois. It's head scratching because they do have the most continuity in the league coming into the year. They had our preseason mid-major player of the year over on Field 68. There's so many reasons why they should be able to play much better than 9-6. And 9-6 historically, like Ryan Pedon so far in his career there has not gotten above 500. He's only 2 wins away now. But I think just the expectations were so much bigger. I think it took a lot of resources to keep both Kinziger and Chase Walker. And so the expectations are very, very high in Redbird land. So I'm really curious to see how it plays out. And let me tell you this, guys. The last 5 games, UIC on the road, Murray State at home, at Bradley, at Northern Iowa, home Belmont. They could easily go 0-5 if they're not careful.
Yeah. Yeah, none of those are a sure thing by any means. And just to add on, like if you look at it with a close lens, like Illinois State's preseason rank on KenPom was 121. They're currently 88th. So like by that measure, it's a successful season so far. However, there's not a single Illinois State fan that you can talk to in the offseason and they would tell you they didn't expect to win the league. They were the preseason favorite. Every outlet that you saw was picking them to win the league, and it's kind of a different team from last year despite continuity. Like the defense has completely flipped itself around and has become a good unit. Meanwhile, the offense just can't seem to be good on a night-to-night basis.
About the fans too, that they look at the standings right now, they're in the 4 versus 5 game, but with that remaining schedule, you could see them slip all the way down to like the 7 seed if it gets ugly down the stretch. So it's a tedious time, and these games are big time games to finish the year.
Yeah, and they have the, as mentioned, most difficult remaining schedule in the Missouri Valley at a 0.68 on Torvik in that metric. That's really tough. Hardest remaining schedule in the conference, as we mentioned. Valpo, who is just 2 games back, has the easiest remaining schedule in the conference. We'll have to see if that can be anything. Northern Iowa, UIC kind of right there with them. Obviously, Belmont starting to pull away. Not necessarily starting to pull away, but kind of cushioned a little bit, 2-game lead. If they can beat Murray State this weekend, I believe that
I looked at it earlier. I looked at it earlier, Sam. I think that like if Belmont beats Murray State this weekend and Bradley loses this weekend, I think it's all but clinched for Belmont.
Oh, like, yeah, no, I forgot Bradley's.
There's like a technicality, I think, where like they wouldn't officially clinch yet, but like it's all but wrapped up if those 2 results go their way.
Yeah. So let's move on from the Valley and let's talk a little bit about the MAC. We don't really talk a ton about the MAC on this podcast, but that's kind of sometimes like by design. As I mentioned, I like kind of keeping my MAC stuff in one place. But I think it's worth talking about the weekend that we have in this conference because it's stacked in terms of matchups. And that started tonight in North Andover, where the first place Merrimack Warriors picked up a monster win, 81-56 against Marist. The announcers kept referencing how Marist was up 20-10 from that point forward, 71 to 36 in the final. Let's see. 32 minutes of this game because it was 8 minutes in. Merrimack got 22-7 from Kavere Kennedy, he was just living in the paint. He attempted 10 free throws. It's got to be like let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, eighth time this season that he's attempted double-digit free throws. He attempted 9 in the last game, 9 twice earlier this year. So like it's not like he's getting 10 and then maybe getting 4. No, he's like averaging like 7 or 8 free throws a game. He's got the number 2 free throw rate in the league with the number 1 usage rate in the league. So he's living at the foul line. He's attempted 204 on the season. So that's a ridiculous number. Gets in the paint a ton. Even hit a 3 tonight. Dishes the ball, and he doesn't just drive to get in the lane and draw fouls. He drives to be able to pass the ball as well. Merrimack made a whole bunch of extra passes today. They got some to Brogna. They got some to Shelton. Ty Dorsett, I thought, was really good. And that kind of was overall the big thing. And the other key, when I talked to Joe Gallo kind of earlier this year, he wanted kind of Kennedy to get some more steals just in their zone, because that's kind of how they build their zone out, because they know they're not going to get a lot of rebounds. They've got to be aggressive and get steals. Last 5 games, 5, 5, 2, 2, and 4 steals. He's now got the number 3 steal rate in conference play, which probably Merrimack wants their point guard to lead the conference in steal rate. So like that's probably not exactly what they want, but it's good enough for right now. And Kennedy's going to be the conference player of the year if I get a vote. I don't get a vote, but Kennedy has mine.
How is that possible? How do you not have a vote, Sam?
Yeah.
You're like Mr. Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference.
They'll give you a basketball, but they don't give you a vote.
Yeah, they'll give me one of these guys, boys.
Oh, look at this. He's fired up, everybody. There you go. Oh, the mini ball. The mini ball. I love the mini ball.
Yeah. I wonder if I get another one this year. I hope I don't, honestly. Like, I don't want to draw any more attention to it. Although I will be hitting game 100 at the MAC tournament again this year.
That's beautiful. I think Merrimack's defense speaks for itself. I mean, he just fine-tunes that thing as the year goes on. It gets tougher and tougher to operate. And I'm actually not surprised that Merrimack leads the conference in opponents' free throw percentage, because I feel like they exhaust teams that, maybe that plays into some of the free throw percentage. Opponents are only shooting 69% from the line against the Warriors. Obviously, they don't shoot it well from anywhere, and that plays into the by far the best defensive effective field goal percentage defense that the Warriors possess. So I think, this is obviously, I think, the team to beat. The one team that I've got my eye on just lately is because of an amazing freshman, Brendan Benjamin at Fairfield. Fairfield's won 4 of 5. They've put together, I think, 7 out of 9. And they're winning games late down the stretch that they weren't before. I was at their loss to St. Peter's. And, I don't know if they're a true wild card yet, but I like the fact that maybe Brandon Benjamin might – if there's one NBA player in the league this year, Sam, do you think it's Mr. Benjamin?
No.
Who would you go with?
I mean, probably Jaden Zimmerman, maybe.
Really? I didn't get to see he was out when I saw
McKnight, maybe. Just kind of like the athleticism is there. Like,
yeah.
Benjamin is great. Benjamin is great, but what is he at the next level? An undersized 5, a 4 that's not like extremely mobile. Like, he's a tremendous rebounder, and that translates. But like all his scoring is at the rim. And like, I don't think he's like super versatile defensively. McKnight is probably a little more high upside.
Okay.
Zimmerman kind of has that ball handling in his game right now. Like, and I also think like Kennedy could get there if the shot comes along. There's a bunch of guys that like I'm not sure where they are right now, but I could see Benjamin getting to like the A10 level, being really good there. But I think that Benjamin is kind of in his best spot. I think this is a league where he is going to be just a stud in terms of his size plays in this league. So he can guard 5s and he can guard in that spot. I don't know if he's guarding 4s at the next level, but I think he's awesome. But the Fairfield freshman thing is not just Brandon Benjamin, and I think a lot of people kind of that just kind of look at the stats and don't really follow the league. Kind of get caught up in Benjamin's double doubles. But
Well,
they've been
they got a ton of them.
yeah, but they've been starting 4 freshmen for 2 months now. Declan Walker-Fennig has scored double digits now in his last 4 games. He's got a bunch of double doubles as well. He's more versatile, less athletic, but more versatile. He can step out.
He rebounds pretty well.
Maybe
At
not
least the game I was at. Yeah.
Yeah, no, great. He's a good rebounder too. He can kind of step out, drive from the perimeter. He's got a good handle on it. I think he's a talented player. Tony Williams can shoot it a little bit. The percentage isn't tremendous. And then Halon Rollins is just kind of a winner. He was a winner in high school. He's been a winner at the college level. Kind of helping this team get a lot better since he went into the starting lineup. So I think that's big. And then obviously Braden Sparks being the key cog for everything. He takes the most shots on the team. But I love the way that Fairfield's gotten better throughout the year.
Yeah.
I'm still not particularly convinced by them because I watched a Fairfield team with 4 seniors kind of choke away a second half lead in the MAC championship game 2 years ago. And I don't know how a Fairfield team with 4 freshmen would react in that same spot this year. And I think this league is better than it was 2 years ago at the top. I think we have better teams. Because that year, I think we kind of had – we had Quinnipiac, we had Fairfield, and St. Peter's kind of when they had Corey. This year, I think there's 4 or 5 teams that are really strong. Merrimack, obviously. I think the St. was great. Sienna, who I will be seeing tomorrow in Albany against Quinnipiac, and that's kind of where I wanted to go with this.
Yeah.
If we get to Quinnipiac, sitting at 10-5, which is below expectations, but winning 3 in a row since the Sacred Heart loss, they were down double digits to Fairfield. I was getting ready to kind of bury their season in my MAC report, and they come back and win that game, and I wrote about that. Then they sweep Canisius and Niagara. They skim by Niagara on a game winner by Grant Randall. Now they go up to Sienna and then host Merrimack, 2 really, really difficult games heading into this weekend. And I think this is going to be huge in terms of not just the MAC title race, but the seeding alignment in the MAC tournament.
No doubt. Well, I think Quinnipiac, Sam, they're, to me, the biggest disappointment because after seeing them up close, having arguably a high major talent in Amari Monroe.
They have multiple high major talents on that.
And then you have Zimmerman back now. He didn't play the game I was at, but they were able to be clearly the better side against Marist when I was there. I love the way Asim Jones can play, and McKnight, obviously, you talked about. Nothing against Pecora. I'm friends with some of the staff members. So I don't want to criticize the staff, but I just feel like with these pieces, these guys should be able to run the league. And it's just surprising some of the games they've lost. Now, I get losing to Merrimack because Merrimack's a complex team to play against, and if shots aren't falling, you're in deep trouble. But when they're losing games at home to Sacred Heart, and they're losing games, even losing to St. Peter's, as good as the story that is, and they lost to Manhattan earlier this year, I just don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, like the game flows of that Manhattan game, they were up by 18 points, and they blew that lead.
That's unexcusable.
It was totally inexcusable, and they talked about it. I think that they have this team, and for all that it's worth, and I think Pecora is a good coach, a great coach, and I think this staff does a good job. But I think that there were some kind of what they had to do the last 2 years with Savion and Paul. It's not exactly what fits this roster. And obviously they don't throw the ball into the post as much, but like the ways that they run their ball screen actions, just kind of just straight up ball screens. And they cut well off the ball, but I would like to see them try and maybe create more screens with different guys. I've kind of wanted them all year to start using Monroe as a screener a little bit more. I think that would be a really interesting thing to kind of diversify their offense. Not that their offense isn't good. I just think that you kind of know what you're getting out of it for the most part. And like if you like it's hard to stop. It's a really good offense, but I think that they would be a little more beneficial if they can kind of diversify what they do a little bit more. And I would like to see them put Monroe in different actions, put Zimmerman in different actions, instead of just kind of trying to ask them to create off of ball screens. I would like to see maybe them be a screener at some point, maybe run some inverted actions, give them the opportunity to create off pick and pops as well. And I think that would benefit them. But again, I also think that this team, even without doing that, and that could be a total disaster. I'm not a coach. But I look at Quinnipiac and I see a team that has a lot of talent. I also see a team that doesn't really have much of a bench. McKnight's great, but like they don't go with Ty Turnage a lot. They don't go with Garen Gamba a lot. And I think Turnage gives them some good minutes when he does come in, but he has clear flaws. And Samson Riley's kind of been phased out of the rotation, and Sam Nosakare hasn't been in the rotation. He was totally awful in the minutes he played against Benjamin, against Fairfield a couple weeks ago, and he hasn't played since. They don't play Giles very much. He hasn't played since the Mount St. Mary's game. So I look at this and I say, all right, we know who the guys are. We know the guys are good. Can they put something together over these last couple of weeks? And they could totally go 15-5. Like they could totally run the table here. There's nothing stopping them from. Well, there's Siena and Merrimack and Fairfield and Kenesha stopping them, but there's no reason why they can't do it. It's just unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, I when I saw them play, I was like, "There's no surprise they won at Pitt, and they beat another big school in the non-conference as well, BC, I think." And so, I mean, these guys athletically could hang in the A10. Like they could finish middle of the pack. So some of that has to fall on the coaching. But again, like you said, they could rip off 5 in a row, 8 in a row, whatever it takes, and get up to a 14 or a 13 in the NCAA tournament, and then be a pretty fun team in the NCAA tournament. So you just don't know until it's over. It's a long ass season, and it's just interesting. It's very interesting because league play is a bear, and we're in the dog days right now. So we have to be honest about that.
Yeah, couple upsets to go over from tonight. Omaha. Ken Pom writing Nebraska Omaha bothers me. Just call them Omaha. Omaha 98, St. Thomas 94. Second conference loss, the third conference loss for St. Thomas.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, and the Tommies were 74% inside the arc in this game, but they allowed 1.32 points per possession.
That's crazy. I hadn't seen that score yet. Little bit of a bummer. I'm already reserved, booked, signed, sealed, delivered for two weeks from tonight to be at North Dakota State at St. Thomas. It's supposed to be the game of the year in the league. Hopefully it still is. But my Denver Pioneers, you better watch out because I know they beat the crap out of South Dakota State tonight after sweeping the Flicker Tail State trip last week. Carson Johnson and the boys. I don't know if you guys realize, if you look at a map on Google, Moorhead, Minnesota, and Fargo, North Dakota, about
right across the border.
Right across the border. So it's a huge deal for them to win and hand North Dakota State their first conference loss last week. And of course, North Dakota has been an amazing story this year.
Didn't they like beat them in a like D2 versus D1 game last year?
That sounds right. Or maybe it was an exhibition.
Yeah, it might have been.
That does sound right. And I think they're just getting better as the season goes. It was a little bit of a struggle starting 3-6 in the conference, but now I think they're 6-6. So I got my eyes big time on Denver as we go forward. But let's just hope that St. Thomas game still has a lot of juice on it, because that's what I'm hoping for. I'm committed.
Okay, North Dakota State won by 4.
When was in
last year?
Oh, okay. So they got a scare from them.
Yeah,
and they were
last year.
They were at least a second round. I think they were a Sweet 16 Division II team.
No, they were a terrific Division II program.
Oh yeah, I think they were 30-4. Anyway, 4 of the players from that team are on Denver now, and Carson Johnson obviously is the belle of the ball. I feel like he wins Player of the Week almost every week.
No, he's awesome.
Yep.
Couple other scores to go over from this week. And I feel like this is just becoming the NJIT segment where we talk about NJIT
Literally. Yeah.
Who are these guys? Who are these guys?
because this story is just incredible. NJIT had won 6 combined conference games in the first 2 seasons with Grant Delmeyer. They had never won more than 6 America East games in their first 5 seasons in the conference. This is going to be this is the most conference wins that they have ever had in Division One, with 9.
Yeah,
and they're
it's
still
their 5th. It's their 5th road win in the conference.
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, look,
if the America East, if the America East is going to be this horrible, we might as well get at least a cool story out of it.
Yeah, like we might as well not have Vermont win it this year.
Yeah, Vermont's been embarrassing. Like, especially when you look at the names of the guys in that starting lineup still. I get they don't really have a bench, but come on. Just with the TJs alone and the big guy, like, that should be enough to win the league. And maybe not even lose.
I mean, look, they're 8-3. They're a game back. They still have a game against NJIT and a game against UMBC. That's, by the way, a huge weekend next weekend. We will probably be leading the podcast next mid-major Thursday with UMBC Vermont, unless something else is bigger. Oh, no, it's Memphis, South Florida. That will be leading the pod.
Do we really have to talk about Memphis?
I mean, yes,
we can talk about South Florida.
South Florida is going to beat them by 25.
Well, we could go, dude. I'm all for talking about South Florida as long as we don't mention the Memphis side.
No, but South Florida, sole possession of first place in the American Conference, 66-58 win over Wichita State at Wichita State last night. That's very much not their style. They only took 18 threes. Wichita State kind of does a good job taking away the 3. But South Florida, Brian Hodgson, they found a way. 9-3. Their 3 conference losses are by 3, 1, and 1. They have FAU on Sunday, Jonathan, and I do have a story for this weekend on South Florida coming to midmajormadness.com.
Well, Sam. I mean, the recipe for Brian Hodgson is the same no matter where he's at. Like, get athletes, and South Florida has a ton of them. They have high major level athleticism. Isaiah Nelson is an absolute beast inside. He's one of the best.
Isaiah Nelson will be playing in the NBA next year.
I think so. I mean,
I will draft Isaiah Nelson.
He's an elite rim protector. He's one of the best rebounders in the country. He's got great touch around the rim. He draws a ton of fouls.
Just watch a South Florida game, and he's everywhere. It's unbelievable.
So, yeah, and then,
like, if Isaiah Nelson goes undrafted, I'm going to be so angry.
And then you pair him with, a team that's going to play math ball. They're going to get up a ton of threes. They're going to try to get more high quality shots than you, just based on math alone. And they have all that athleticism to pair with it. Like, it was very clear the recipe for this team to be very good in the offseason. And it's being executed. The offense is getting better. They want to play fast. They get a ton of shots off. It's a really fun team, Sam.
Yeah, and to me, it's kind of the way that they are able to exude two-way rim dominance. New Ken Palm stat as average 2-point distance. They're number 1 offensively and defensively in that stat. That basically just tells me that their athleticism allows them to get to the rim, and their athleticism keeps teams away from the rim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had to go to their game against Coppin State, if you can believe it. A game that they won by 50. But
I just like to bring up like the 4th different team that you just randomly seen them.
Yeah, I've seen them. Yeah, it was we did the broadcast on YouTube for both Coppin State games at the St. Pete Showdown. Great event, by the way. We'll be bringing Coppin State back next year. But during that game, I think South Florida had 19 dunks, and that was the cool part. I mean, the game was over in about 10 minutes. But it was like dunk, dunk, dunk. And Coppin State's got like at least some athletes, and it didn't matter. It's just like next level athletes, obviously.
I'm sorry. I'm not here for the Coppin State's guy. discussion. That is a
It's not the first time they've been discussed on this pod before.
They have a former NC State. They have a former NC State player on the team.
yeah,
but-
he plays and he plays 16% of the minutes.
which is probably wise. It's probably wise. But South Florida in general, like I don't put any weight on that particular game. Getting a look at them up close, the way the roster was built, I think we all agreed before the season this was the most talented team in the American. I think that's proved out. They swept Tulsa, so they have a great inside track now for the 1 seed. And if they do get into the field, they might be one of the only teams not in a Power 5 that can actually win a 12-5 game. I know because the 5s are really good right now. Like you're looking at a St. John's, an Arkansas, a BYU. You have to be freaking good.
I think those teams are beatable.
They are, but you have to have
St.
athletes.
John's and Arkansas are really athletic.
Like I would struggle to see a Belmont or a Liberty beating any of those teams.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
I think
South Florida for sure. South Florida. For
I think
sure.
those teams are distinctly beatable by South Florida.
It was kind of
Right.
like
That's why my point is they could actually get a couple wins in the tournament if they can get in, even as a 12. Won't be easy, but it's possible.
I mean, I think you could argue that, like, as of late, they've been playing much better than
they have.
All right. Kind of going to go really deep cut here. Monmouth, point guard, Tavion McClain.
McLean, my boy.
He transferred from Texas Southern. He's only played 2 games this year. In those 2 games, he's averaging 17 and 5.5 assists. This is like a total wrench throw.
Well, he was on my preseason All CAA team. He was a big time get from Monmouth, and what ended up happening was his Texas Southern was in the gambling probe, and he was rumored to be a part of it, and the NCAA didn't clear him. And then when the gambling stuff just came out a couple weeks ago, he was officially cleared. But then Monmouth had a bye, so he's only played 2 games so far. Tonight was his 2nd game.
Yeah. And this is just like a total wrench throw into the CAA. They're now 2-0 since he's come back. They scored 76 and 93 points in those games. The offense, which was 10th in the conference, and remember, this is the number 1 defense in the CAA, the offense gets a huge boost.
Yep.
That's huge.
Well, there's no tape on there's no tape on Monmouth yet with McLean. So Drexel didn't have a game plan, and they're going to be able to expose some people first 2 games out. But wait until they get to Game 6 or Game 7, then there'll be some tape. But it's a loaded team. You got Jason Rivera Torres, who was here at San Francisco last year, and Vanderbilt. He's a very good athlete for that level. They basically are trading places with Charleston because Charleston just lost Connor Hickman for the year today, and so I looked at it as Monmouth and Charleston might be trading places here. One team gets a player out of nowhere for the rest of the year, and another one loses arguably their best shooter for the year.
This is a complete
Monmouth's got
wrench into the CAA tournament in a couple weeks in Washington, D.C. Just like, I still think UNC Wilmington is the favorite.
Monmouth's got him on the road today.
Monmouth is in a double bye spot right now.
Yeah, in that bracket, too, you only have to be top 4, and it's just as advantageous because 4 teams get the same double bye. So there's about 10 teams in the running still for the double bye. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and Monmouth, their schedule is not particularly easy. They do have to play at Charleston and at UNC Wilmington. But like, who's to say?
They'll see what they're made of. They'll see what they're made of, Sam.
Those games kind of feel winnable now.
Yeah,
and I still love William and Mary.
I think Wilmington's gonna drop to somebody in the next couple of weeks, aren't they? I don't think they're gonna go 16-2, do we?
Probably not. Hampton's the most biggest wild card of them all.
And I will see Hampton in person next week against Hofstra.
Oh, I thought you were going to go to the LA game against A&T on Friday. Tomorrow. That's tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm in Albany tomorrow. I told you that. Better than LA. Albany.
The first CAA game ever played in Los Angeles. That's why they renamed it the Coastal instead of the Colonial.
The All Coasts Conference, the CAA.
That's right. How cool is that, though? That Hampton NCAA game, though, if people don't know, it's going to be streamed on every NBC platform. No matter what NBC station you turn on, that game will be on. Unbelievable exposure for those two universities. Very cool.
No, it's really cool. Really cool.
I went to that game last year at A&T, by the way. One of the best games I've ever been to. Oh, yeah.
Great rivalry.
Bring the bands, dance on every commercial break. It's unbelievable.
Couple other things to note before we get out of here. Chicago State's hot. Don't let the Cougars get hot. Landon Bussey has this team moving pretty well. Double-digit win over Stonehill tonight.
They didn't use all their timeouts this time.
Yeah. They've got.
That was the game they lost when they called timeout when they had the lead.
Yeah.
Oh man. Very to themselves.
Not an easy closing schedule. You still have to go to Lemoyne, still have to go to LIU, have Central on the schedule as well. But look, if they can go and beat the teams they've beaten, they can probably go get a win somewhere else in this conference. They're not in last right now. That would be Wagner after Wagner loses to LIU tonight. The fact that LIU has scored only 60, 61, and 67 points in the last 3 games bothers me. That team should be scoring 80 points a game.
Yeah, I feel like the opponents are putting them in a cage, but they should be athletic enough to overcome that and just score at will. But it's interesting. They're just doing.
They're athletic. They're athletic. They have a bunch of guys that can score and get to the basket. There's no reason that team should not be averaging 80 points a game. They're going to win this league because they're just that much more talented than everyone else. They are what? How many games up are they right now? They're 3 and a half games up on Central and Malone. And so they're going to host.
Are they going to break the streak, Sam? You know the NEC's been to 12 straight first fours. They could break the streak.
It's possible.
I feel like they would because there'll be enough upsets in the other tournaments.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it feels like a total miraculous outcome would be needed to beat this team right now.
Which happens every year.
Total fluke shooting night.
Wagner.
I thought it would have taken a miraculous outcome to beat Central Connecticut last year.
Yeah.
Central Connecticut, Jonathan, in that game.
That game was unbelievable.
36% inside the arc and only took 8 free throws.
And Wagner the year before was unbelievable. I'm telling you.
Jordan Durkak was playing on a bum ankle in that game, but Wagner even winning the game against Sacred Heart was a miracle. Then winning the game against Central was a miracle. Then winning the game against Merrimack was a miracle.
They won the playing game. They
They had 6 guys. I
think the NEC is 7-5 in the last 12 playing games, which is 7 extra financial units. Congratulations. To Ron Ratner.
LIU's 1 loss in conference play. It took them shooting 6% below their 2-point percentage average, and Lemoyne shooting 19.
Yeah, no, Lemoyne got out rebounded by how much in that game?
It was 27-39.
Yeah,
LIU.
Lemoyne got 2 offensive rebounds. LIU got 18. That's a lucky win for Lemoyne.
Yeah, Lemoyne shot 19 more free throws. Can't imagine that happens again.
Yeah, we'll have to see. That is way too much NEC talk.
I think it was just enough.
All right, last thing, a couple more things we have to hit on. Nice performance for the Fighting Gottliebs tonight.
Why do we have to talk about them? How about Detroit Mercy? They're the story of the league tonight.
Let's go.
They haven't won in the Nutter Center since 2013. That's 13
that's a big win. 3 out of 4.
3
out of 4, and they're only lost in that
center futility, Sam.
Yep, 3 of their last 4, and they're only lost in that stretch is to the Fighting Gottliebs.
My goodness, anybody can win that conference tournament. Anybody.
Yeah, I mean,
Cleveland State wins it, I will not be shocked.
We might have to fear the Phoenix on Selection Sunday, Jonathan. That would be
it's not something I'm looking forward to, and it's something I'm hoping does not happen.
It would be tremendous for content.
Yeah, I mean, Wright State loses tonight. Oakland loses tonight.
Oakland's now lost 2 in a row.
Oakland's got 2 players out for the year. Otherwise, I think they would have ran away with this thing.
Yeah.
Robert Morris
can't be such a genius.
right now.
They might get hot again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Robert Moore's playing well, but they've got to go to Oakland. They got to play Oakland and then go to Wright State.
It's the most unpredictable league. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Some of these results just don't even make sense.
If a Utah Valley falls in a forest and nobody's around to watch it, does it happen?
Are you talking about the WAC now?
Yes, Utah Valley loses to Utah Tech.
They did, yeah. Snapped the 7-game losing streak for Utah Tech against Utah Valley. I put a tweet out. The last time they beat them, their name was Dixie State. And go Trailblazers. They've won 5 in a row. They're tied for second with Utah Valley with that win. This is the league where everybody plays each other thrice.
3 times.
Exactly. Yep. So it's crazy. Utah Valley better figure out how to get eligible because this odds percentage-wise, this is their best chance to make the tournament. Like when they join the Big West, yeah, sure, they could steal a bid in Vegas, but they're going to have a hard time winning that league. I mean, and this is only 6 other teams to compete with. Southern Utah's not going to make it, I don't think. They've gotten a little better, but I think it's down to about four teams left, seriously, that can win it. I mean, if you have a 1-in-4 shot, don't you pay the $1 million right now?
Do they have the $1 million to pay?
You would imagine. I don't know, though. I don't know how all that works there.
I can't imagine they just have $1 million lying around in a war chest, hiding away in a safe that says, don't give to WAC under any circumstances.
All you got to do is go to upper campus, go to a president or whoever, chancellor, and present to them what a March Madness appearance would do for that university, and it will come back in spades with enrollment if Utah Valley can make an appearance in the tournament.
I agree.
It's happened several places before.
Well, they can get it from a different part of campus. Where they're finding that cash.
Maybe the BYU NIL guy will pay for that because they're like 6 minutes away. Just call BYU. They'll pay.
Crumble cookies. Crumble cookies. We need you.
Yes.
It's a good thought.
Or get a good lawyer, but that's expensive too. I don't know.
Good Toyaz Solomon game for UNC Asheville tonight, because of course Cal Poly gets a win against UC Irvine. That's a big one for us, Mike DeGeorge super fans.
And Hawaii's now sole possession of first. No more tie with Irvine. So Cal Poly clears the way for
Remember when I was talking to you about like how Eastern Washington was the best 2-13 team in the country?
Yeah, I do remember that.
6 in the Big Sky. They've won 3 in a row.
They swept the Treasure State. They
Coach
swept the Treasure State last weekend.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm all the way in on Eastern Washington.
They're the Denver of that league.
Yeah, I'm all the way in on Eastern Washington.
Sam, real quick, just to go back to the WAC here. Like, could you imagine if like Utah Valley goes through all of this, pays the money, gets into the conference tournament, only for like Dom Daniels to go for 45 again on them?
Or Utah Tech to embarrass them on their way to the Big Sky.
Yeah,
which is where they're going to be next year. The in-state little brother.
Unfortunately, IU Indy did not pull out the win tonight, but their last 2 losses are by 4 and 3 points. It's coming. They're gonna get another win before the season's over.
I think they'll win a game in the conference tournament.
No doubt.
This pod will be insufferable if they go on a run in the Horizon League tournament.
I've also heard they're stepping up there. I've
also heard like when Cal Poly made the run in the Big West last year.
Yeah.
So I've been told IU Indy is stepping up their NIL next year. So
excellent.
I'm excited to see what the roster looks like. It might mean they're going from 20,000 to 30,000, but whatever it means, it's increasing.
Top 5 teams in the country, Jonathan, that this pod will go insane for if they make a run in the conference tournament.
So IU Indies 1,
Cal Poly.
Cal Poly's 2,
Washington, Fordham, and
Pacific.
Yeah, Eastern Washington.
I know they're
Fordham,
like, I know Pacific's like pretty good, but like still.
Yeah, but like it's also kind of so easy / so hard to go on a run in the WCC tournament in a different way. Green Bay in a different way.
Who was the one that you said before Fordham?
Eastern Washington.
Eastern Washington.
Okay, yeah.
Go Eagles.
Yeah, no, that would be ridiculously fun.
We were like, we've talked about Eastern Washington like way too much on this show. Like I was hyping them up like the first week of the season when they played Loyola Marymount tough on the road.
They should have beat UCLA.
Yeah.
They had them.
Oh,
Like-
one. I'm not sure if I've mentioned this on the pod yet, but Penn finally snapped the losing streak to Princeton.
You have mentioned that on the pod.
Okay, good, because I'm mentioning it again. Big weekend for the Quakers. Columbia and Cornell
I mean,
coming.
huge weekend in the Ivy League. You have
Yeah,
like
like,
four teams that are 4-4 right now.
Let's preview the Ivy League weekend. Why not?
You have four
Well,
teams that are
every
4-4.
weekend in the Ivy League's a big weekend. It's a
Yeah, but
playoff.
there's only
playoff game.
3 back-to-back this year. This is one of them. So we will know a lot more about. Actually, no. We'll preview the Ivy League weekend tomorrow.
Okay.
That's a great segue, Jonathan. Tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, will be our mega Valentine's Day weekend preview. Saturday night, we will have Saturday Night Live with
The bubble of the year.
the bubble of the year, Michael DeRosa, because of course. And we are working on guests for future Friday preview episodes. We're working on maybe potentially throwing in some wild card episodes somewhere with some guests. We're working on throwing in our night episodes as well during the week. Unfortunately, we couldn't get to one on Tuesday or Wednesday this week. I promise you those will be back next week. Rocco, thank you so much for joining us. Anything else you want to get to? I'll let you have your last word.
Anytime, fellas. We have another great weekend of basketball. As I started looking into it, I haven't gone through every league, but Valentine's Day seems to have a big-time matchup in every league. Like I know Harvard, Yale's happening. I know. I don't know. I'm my brain's fried right now. But
I'm super excited for Gonzaga at Santa Clara on Saturday.
well, you were reading my mind because I will be there with live coverage for you all. It will be a spectacular day.
I'm in on Navy Colgate.
Navy Colgate. Yeah, we almost had Navy on our Field of 68 show today. We'll actually have him next week now. So,
Midmajormadness.com, Navy feature from last week. Go and read it.
There we go. John Perry's a great guy. He's actually been doing the Navy schedule for years for Ed DeChellis. Kind of cool to see him now as the head coach and doing so well. Jordan Lyons is on that staff. Furman legend, one of my favorite people. So I love all those guys. I hope it keeps rolling.
Montana State as well.
Absolutely. So I would just say RIP Washington Huskies after losing to Penn State last night. And enjoy the Gonzaga Santa Clara game.
Mitchell had the men's scout for Penn State.
Oh, my God. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. 15 million in NIL just to lose to Penn State at home.
All right, Jonathan, you want to take us home?
I would love to. If you came to hear about Tyler Self and where he's working, you came to the right place. If you came to hear about Monmouth bringing in ringers, you came to the right place. And if you came to hear about the latest happenings with Caleb Grill, you came to the right place. This has been Season 6, Episode 82 of Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers.